risky Petal would be good, but Petal is not good against Samuel late game, and Tigers knows how to play against a Petal late game. So I think CP Kestrel most likely be the option here, unless they want someone that can get onto them. Sky, okay, so this is where it's a skill matchup. Samuel versus Sky is a total skill matchup. If Vonsi can outplay Tigers, then Sky is better than Samuel. So let's see, Hammers will probably decide on Ringo here or Vox, potentially.
Man, we've seen a lot of Sky today. She's really made her way back into the meta. She's been doing a lot of good work, but there has been a big gulf between the really strong Sky play and the really weak Sky play.
Not too many clouds, a lot of Sky. As it is going to be Kestrel coming through.
You got me there.
I do it specifically to get those sorts of looks out of AJ, but Kestrel going to be coming through as the final pick for Hammers. Again, starting Lover played very well on this pick yesterday as well, and has played very well on it historically. Only one loss, and I believe 6 or 7 games played on it now, and so it's a strong pick for him.
It really is, and I think he's not really venturing too far out of his comfort zone here, which can only signal good things, I think, for Hammers, right? Based on the performance earlier on today where he played things kind of unusual for him, but still made it happen. What is the win condition for Team SoloMid's composition here? How are they going to execute with that Gwen to really shut down Hammers?
Yeah, Sky is going to be critical. I say it's going to be Samuel and Sky matchup here. You know, it's going to see who's going to be able to poke better and engage. Flash needs to be very careful with the portals. Again, portaling on top of Kestrel and Samuel is very dangerous. They're going to camo and then Samuel on top of it, so these portals got to be very strategic. All
right, who do you think is going to win this first game of the finals?
It's so even, but I think with Lyra being a slightly stronger support than Adagio, I think TSM and Gwen countering Kestrel, I think TSM can take this.
I'm going to go with Hammers. I think that they have a momentum on their side big time after that last game.
I mean, momentum, they build up a lot of speed for sure. Let's hand it on over to our shoutcasters. We've got Dowsey and Jingyi bringing you the call.
Almost cannot believe that we're into the final for day 2 already in North America. Yep. What incredible speed coming out of Hammers in their last series. And you know what? TSM as well. Very decisive victory against Tempo. It wasn't decisive, but it was very deliberate from them. Tempo put up a fight, but TSM kind of held the reins of this horse that was Tempo Storm.
I think that's kind of normal for TSM. Every single week they have showed up. They're consistently in day 2. They never really look like they're flagging against another team. So I think this is going to be a very exciting matchup because Hammers, they look on form today. And I think, you know, that's absolutely undeniable. I do like the draft that came out from TSM, taking away the Koshka and taking away the Glaive as well, which have been major threats coming out from Hammers. And it'll be interesting to see how Hammers are going to do without their currently favored picks.
Right, that's it. You know, the Koshka banned by Hammers just because both these guys can play, and without the Glaive, there's not as much utility. There's going to be a fight in the lane as Vonsi dives onto two Tigers. No fear, Vonsi with the first blood for himself. Looking for a second onto Chicken, but he can't quite find it. Holy moly, Vonsi. I've never seen such balls on a player. This guy is a monster.
Balls on a what?
On a player, is what I said.
What does that mean?
Just it's so in your face. Just he was
like a burning
half HP from dying there. And
is this an Australian thing?
I don't know, Shinyi. I don't know, Shinyi. Okay. Maybe I know a lot about balls. We'll have to see. Let's keep this PG. Okay.
Okay. Very.
TSM first blood, incredible.
It was very incredible. You know, we've seen a few Skies since the update. And I think the general consensus is she's okay, but she's probably not one of the best picks to be picking. I just feel like she's not really utilized as well as she could be. But in hands of Vonsi, I think we did see him playing Sky yesterday. That's someone he can be super aggressive with, and I think the first start definitely demonstrated that. He can be super aggressive, he's got a lot of mobility. It's going to be very difficult for Hammers to pin him down. Because if you look at it, there is no dive there on the side of Hammers. It's going to be very difficult for them to get him. They can't stun him, but it's going to be difficult to stun him, and he is going to be incredibly slippery.
Yeah, incredibly slippery, and we're going to see him head back into the lane once more to land even more damage onto Chicken. And Chicken does take a lot of damage. Adagio, of course, can heal things back up over time, but of course he wants to keep starting all over nice and healthy as well. Incredible start from TSM, and actually very like-minded team compositions in the fact they both have a healer in that captain position. They also have, you know, massive range as well in the form of a Sky and in the form of a Samuel. So really similar things being brought out here from both teams.
I'm gonna favor TSM's a little bit more. I feel that Adagio, whilst what I'm trying to say about Adagio is I feel his heal is not as strong as Lyra's heal, and I feel that Lyra just offers a little bit more utility in general compared to Adagio. Yes, you've got the buff, but it relies on your team being very aggressive. But looking at the draft coming out from Hammers, I'm not sure they can pull that aggression off. It's gonna be very poke heavy.
Well, we're gonna have to find out, Shinji. I think that's the point I was trying to allude to, is that very similar compositions means only one of these guys can pull off the composition better than the other, and that's where I'm really interested to see which one of these teams is the one to be able to do so.
Well, it's hard to say right now. I think I'm still gonna say I'm favoring TSM a little bit more, but we haven't really seen Hammers playing these heroes as much. I'm not sure how comfortable they are, especially we are going against TSM and they are playing their comfort picks. I think we've seen a lot of Lyra on Flash. Pick starting all over, taking so much damage.
He does have the Adagio to heal them all up. Best Chuck is also going to get the movement speed. Here comes Von C. Von C is ready to play. Series strike on across the team. A lot of damage traded back, but Von C also takes a huge chunk of damage in the process. Is going to get the heal here from Flash X, so he can continue fighting. But over now, Hammers maintain advantage in that lane as far as damage is concerned. Fountain now completed here for Chicken. Flash X pretty much has enough to complete his fountain as well. But Hammer's going to try and protect the entrance to the shop, put up some vision, make sure that TSM cannot push into it just now. Perhaps even look for a fight as they all seem to group up into the lane. That's going to be Best Chuck going back. So TSM are not looking for a fight.
They're not. They really aren't. I feel like once Von C goes to the shop, once Flash X picks up his fountain, then they're in a better position to fight. Best Chuck and he's picked up his tension. He's got his tension bow there. That'd be a good amount of damage that he can provide in a team fight. So there's a Frostburn, there's a fountain. I feel like they can look for a fight now, especially because if you look at starting all over, he's relatively low on energy. Had to pick up the tree before going up to the lane, just so he can use his glimmer shots to clear the wave. And it looks like they're beginning to posture up for a fight as well. 2,000 gold. They're on starting all over, picking up the Sour Blade and the Frostburn there onto T-Tigers as well. It's a very close game so far.
It certainly is. A lot of vision being prioritized from everyone from Hammers, everyone picking up some flares into their inventories, and now they're looking to lay down the damage. But TSM have traded it back fairly substantially. Both Chicken and Starting All Over taking a lot of poke from Von C, the Oblivion, to try and keep them alive. Flash X healing the entirety of TSM up. So much mobility and a huge death from above almost connects onto Starting, but he's just about able to get out of range. This is going to be tough. Hammer's trying to defend their turret against his harass. Von C just sticking around to provide threat. TSM are going to fall back right now. Hammer's actually inside the choke of this corridor, and T-Tiger's poked right down, but TSM not looking to push too far.
Oh no, gosh, Chicken there. Von C on his forward barrage, absolutely incredible job. So he's using that forward barrage to zone them out. It's taking a lot of damage off everyone in Hammers because there's not that much shield. But Chicken, oh dear, he's looking very, very low right now. Don't know how well they can defend against this push from TSM.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. He's gonna have to fall back. This turret is down past that 50% mark. He doesn't have very much to go if the turret is in fact a boy, is in fact a being of his own, not just a mechanical beast in the lane that shoots for defenseless minions. Currently TSM putting the pressure down. Hammers are forced to kind of respond by sticking to the lane. You know, these guys have gone up against each other twice. The desk brought it up, Shinyi, was something I wanted to bring up anyway. The first time TSM took a clean 2-0 over Hammers, the second time, and then went on to win the week. So this was in semi-finals. The second time was Hammers taking a clean 2-0 over TSM in the semis, and then they went on to win the week. Now they face in the finals for an epic conclusion of the first week of Split 2, and I'm really hoping this goes all the way.
It feels very epic. It definitely feels like the potential. If you look at just the two teams and compare them from this game, the gold is identical. If you look at the items and the farming, it's pretty much identical as well. It's just depending on how they're executing the fights. TSM actually going up into the lane, but get a bit of damage down.
Ooh, Oblivion goes out. Crucible, well timed.
Chicken.
Chicken gets stunned up and he does fall. The fountain goes out, but it's too late. That is going to be Hammers losing a very crucial member of their roster. Can no longer continue this siege, and they all immediately fall back.
Yeah, this does leave it. This leaves TSM in a very good position to try and take that turret down. They know that Chicken, as the roamer, is not there. Starting over, they're kind of forced to defend, and I think this should be an easy turret for them. T-Tiger's quite low on energy. But I'm going to eat my words because it's not going to be an easy turret because they don't actually get any damage down on that turret.
Currently camping the bush here, but TSM have managed to build themselves up a slight gold lead. Will become even more so when this turret falls down. Forward barrage doesn't quite find the damage, but Best Chuck is putting it onto starting. There's the heal coming forward for now. TSM just healing through this. Harassing starting all over very low. Isn't really having a best of time against this poke that TSM can put out. There's the one shot, doesn't connect. TSM able to dodge away from that one fairly easily. The Death from above is going to force the reflex block from starting just to block the damage. He is laying down glimmer shots. T-Tigers with the mountain verdicts, but T-Tigers almost loses his life. They're just about holding on to this turret by the hair of their skin right now, Xinyi, but it's only a matter of time until TSM finally cracks the nutshell.
Yeah, well, they still have the fountain. Starting over actually super low. They might get him.
Ooh, Chicken goes low as well, starting low as well. T-Tigers brought back into the lane, and Hammers surely have to give up the turret. There's no way they can defend it. And now it's going to be the engage coming out of this Lyra. Dive onto starting. There's the forward barrage. T-Tigers eaten up by Best Chuck, and he's going to get a double kill. Looking for the triple. Nowhere for Chicken to go, and an easy triple kill comes forward for Best Chuck and a TSM 5-0 at 10 minutes, looking to find a second turret.
And they're going to get it. It's going to be a very quick turret there. There's a lot of damage in the hands of TSM right now. And for me, in that last fight, I just feel like that Hammer should have just given up that turret much earlier. They were all quite very low in health. Chicken was low in energy, so he can provide the heals as much as FlashX was providing his teammates. So I feel like they should have backed off. The turret was really low at that point. Just teleported home and then came back and just defended the second turret. And actually what we saw was TSM just took advantage of that, burst the turret down, and then a fantastic arcane passage coming out from FlashX, just enabling them to pick up the ace and a second turret.
A second turret, that's the huge thing. If Hammers disengage, record, perhaps they only lose one turret there, but instead they give TSM a triple and a second turret. That's huge gold swinging their way. 3,000 at 10 minutes. TSM will make that feel like 10,000 if they have their way, but let us not put Hammer out of the running just yet. I've seen this team come back from deficits like this, and a team with great mentality can certainly weather the storm that is TSM currently. We're going to see them look to purchase up. We do have Breaking Point Sorrow Blade finished for starting an infusion, but where did T-Tigers go? He got destroyed, and that's going to be Chicken taken down as that's FlashX engaging. Nowhere for you to go. Another triple kill for Best Chuck and it is all over before I could even get my words out.
Yeah, he just, what was it, 1.5 hits onto T-Tigers and he just died. There is no other way to describe it. They are so squishy. If you look at T-Tigers, he's got the light shield. Starting over a little bit better with that reflex block. But I think that's kind of the problem with the composition, is that there's not really that heavy body block. They can't really pin down Von C, who's just doing so much damage there. His mobility is really playing into TSM's favor right now. And Hammers, they're struggling to try and pin him down. Chicken's trying to land these very flashy bursts of judgments. But they're just bursting right through him every single time.
Incredible stuff here. TSM obviously took notes from the previous game. They were like, hey, I see you there, Hammers. Let us show you what we can do. You want to be North American champions? Nah, bruh. As they go into the jungle once more. Huge active camo. TSM stepped into it, and starting will find the kill, but Best Chuck's not done. He finds one, looking for more, but he will not find it. Starting able to find the return, and that's going to leave FlashX on his lonesome. T-Tigers looking to try and chase him into his jungle, but he will not be able to. TSM perhaps a little bit cocky.
They were a little bit cocky. They did get caught by the active camo. It was a great stun coming out from starting over, and they were able to pick up the kill there onto Best Chuck NA and Von C. And I think those are what they need to rely on. They need to try and set some traps for TSM, because right now, if it's just a full-out engage, TSM are winning. But if they set the traps and manage to catch TSM out, then those are the fights that they should be looking for, bringing it into the jungle, or just fighting in a channel where it is easy for T-Tigers to land as Drifting Dark on multiple members of TSM.
Well, the longer this goes, the more items are fed into Hammer's inventory, and the better chance of a comeback becomes reality. However, it is a 5,000 gold deficit at this 13-minute mark, and in 2 minutes the Kraken spawns, and that is when TSM start nailing those final nails into this game. We'll have to see if Hammers are ready for that moment. It's only a minute and a half away.
Yeah, he's only a minute and a half away. The gold mine, I think, is in a good position to be taken. Hammers, they know that they have a chance. I think they're going to go in for the infusions right now. All three members can infuse. Does look like triple infusions are coming out, so they are certainly in a good position to fight. And if you look at TSM, there's only one infusion there, and that's on Best Chuck NA. If they can catch Von C and Lyra out, then that's going to be a really good start. But Flash X, he's always got that Arcane Passage ready.
Certainly does. The Imperial Sigil as well for the extra movement speed, and Von C just kind of waddles away like nothing's going to come from that. Eve of Harvest completed for Von C, and it's triple damage threat right now. And T Tigers hasn't quite hit the same mark. This turret's still here as Flash X dives in, tries to land the Crucible out there, but it will be not too influential onto starting. This turret going to fall by the looks of things. Starting does take a huge chunk of damage in the process, but of course Chicken can heal him back up.
That was a great move from Hammers. There wasn't really much they could do there without Von C. It was a bit of a 2v3 situation. And Best Chuck NA, he's back to full health now, and it looks like Hammers are going to be going for the gold mine. So we're seeing, they were sitting at a 5k gold deficit before, now 3.8. It's beginning to narrow. I don't know who's going to get the gold mine.
This is risky. Best Chuck in a position to steal with a buckshot, but it doesn't come through. Hammers able to take it on out, and you're right, the gold deficit is starting to be lowered by Hammers from 5,000 to 3,000. It's definitely crude stuff from them as they take their backs here, share the gold between T Tigers and Stunning all over. But here she is, the Kraken onto the Halcyon Fold, and this is the moment that Hammers need to be ready for, because TSM in a heartbeat will take that away if they sense weakness.
They're definitely ready. I think both teams are on a very even footing when it comes to these team fights right now, and it's all about who's going to get the Kraken next.
Starting's taking so much damage. This is Von C looking for the kill, trying to get away as Flash X chases, but T Tigers is there. Chicken dives through the passage, perhaps not where he wants to be. Now the fight is all over the place as T Tigers in trouble, but here comes starting from behind. Crystal Sentry could be the mean that they need. One shot into Flash X, but they've lost Chicken, and now T Tigers will likely lose his life as well. Forward barrage to secure the deal. TSM with a 2-0 in that team fight. Now they can look to take the Kraken.
I really feel that Chicken, had he not gone through the passage, that Verse of Judgment would have would have swung it for Hammers actually, because he was on set to stun at least two members there coming from TSM. Unfortunate going through the passage, and it certainly split the team up, which TSM took advantage of because they left Von C very open to try and get the damage down onto Chicken and T Tigers as he did.
Wow, it reminds me of a certain ranked game earlier, Shinyi. Two casters in Vainglory trying to make their way forward. An accidental arcane passage clicked. But we will not talk about that.
We both did that.
We will not look at match history. Not today. Let's focus TSM. Kraken taken here. And this is the deciding point. Hammers, well, they are looking to try and meet the Kraken early, but TSM going to make their way towards and look for a fight.
Looking at the play, I feel like in the team, it's very even between the two teams, but I just feel that overall TSM's macro play this game has been better, because whenever they do win a team fight, they're able to push a lot more from it. Hammers, they've won about 2 team fights so far, but they've never really been able to claim too much in terms of objectives off the back of it. Oh, hang on.
Oblivion goes out, Crucible there, but it doesn't really land on anyone anyway. It's going to be Hammers looking to push TSM out of the base, and that's going to be a great reflex block to stop the aces high. Chicken with the first, but he gets taken on down, and now it's stunning all over the next target as he tries to get away. The Kraken, she's still at half HP. The first Vein Crystal turret will fall. It's all now for T Tigers and stunning all over to try and defend their base, but TSM split, and they make it so hard. This Vein Crystal falling as he's starting all over, as he stuns up Von C, and they trade lives. That will be the game here, Shinyi. TSM take this first game 1-0, 13-3, and a 4,000 gold lead.
It was a very exciting game. I think the numbers don't quite do it justice. I think the whole way throughout, it was very, very even between the two teams. And although it felt like TSM were a little bit more in control, they were just a bit better at taking the objectives, as I was saying a few minutes ago. There were some really promising moments from Hammers, But I think TSM, they picked the right moment to get the Kraken. They were able to just slowly push down the turrets. I think there was that one pivotal team fight where I think Hammers just stayed a little bit too long. They lost their 2 turrets off the back of that and got the ace. And I think that was really the turning point of the whole game for us.
Yeah, no, certainly. TSM, as soon as they got that slight advantage, Shinyi, they ran away with it. Now 1-0, perhaps we see the return of Hammers in game 2. We'll have to see, as we will throw it back to the desk to break down that first game.
And break it down we shall. Man, Team SoloMid looked almost as dominant as Hammers did in the first game of their last series. I mean, it was really very aggressive play, constantly. They were doing some cool things with the way they were distributing their gold, too, Sweden.
Yeah, they did a good job. Vauncey needed to get Eve, so they actually fed Vauncey, the lane farm, jungle farm, etc., and got him his Eve, and then Chuck started farming his lane, so that was very smart. And like I said, this matchup came down to Sky versus Samuel, and you can see, like, when Sky is aggressive and is able to engage on Samuel in that way and engage on the team, you're going to come out on top. So it's really a skill matchup between Sky and Samuel, and Vauncey came on top in this one.
All right, let's have a look at a replay real quick. This is around the 11-minute mark by the Gold Miner.
Yeah, and this is just a prime example. Look how quickly T-Tigers just gets deleted. Just instantaneous, just about. And from there, it's a very easy team fight cleanup for Team SoloMid. That's kind of, it's how they played the majority of the game from that point. They got so much off of that team fight.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah, even at the 9:30 mark, it's a critical fight where actually Vauncey does the same thing. He engages onto the team, right? Kills them. They try to hold the turret here, and they make a mistake because, again, this is where Lyra shines. She is so good at lane pressure, healing up the team, and they're constantly poking them out. They get the ace and 2 turrets, so this was a very decisive fight. Follow up on the fight that we just saw, kind of secured the deal in the snowball for TSM there, and that's why I said Lyra is better than Adagio support, especially in the early game, because she offers that heal and that poke that TSM was able to do. Hammer should have just gave that first turret up. They were trying to hold on to that turret, but it wasn't worth it.
If they were going to give up the first turret, that would have worked. Once they didn't, I think you could make an argument they should have given up the second turret. The only thing that was wrong as a plan there was to give up the third. Well, the 3 of them, not the third turret, the 3 of their lives. I'm starting to fade a little bit here. But Hammers can totally come back into this series. That was only game number 1.
There were moments for them in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking towards the draft of game number 2, what are we expecting to see? Like, what kind of picks could maybe Hammers use to set something up here?
I think they need something beefier than what they had. They need something that can actually absorb a lot of that damage on the front lines. They had none of that, and that was one of the things that really allowed Vauncey to just get so much damage out on the Sky.
All right, we're into the draft for game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Hammers versus Team SoloMid in the finals of Week 1 for split number 2. Lyra and Glaive have been banned.
And
yeah, so let's see what Hammers does. They might take the Koshka first pick here, but I doubt it because there's Lance's open, so TSM can counter that. So they might take Lance actually first picking it, or Adagio, but I think they will probably offer the Lance for Chicken.
Yeah, I feel like the Lance should be the first pick here for Hammers. It would give the Adagio over Team SoloMid, but I think you have to be, some sort of sacrifice has to be made, and they are going to go ahead and take the Lance.
Yep, so TSM will pick maybe potentially Keshro and then ban away the Koshka. Or take Adagio actually and ban Koshka would make a lot of sense for TSM. Or they can take Koshka actually and run Adagio support, but I think most likely they'll probably ban Koshka or Samuel away from Hammers. And then Hammers will probably counter ban with Sky potentially, because they don't want Vauncey on Sky. But we'll see what they decide here. Oh, Grumpjaw gets banned. Okay, wow.
Interesting that Team SoloMid is the one that bans the Grumpjaw, because they're the ones that have been playing it more often than not. But obviously not wanting to give Hammers a chance to go ahead and grab it. It also leaves a lot open for them.
Yeah, so Hammers will ban Koshka here, or TSM's going to take it. So let's see what they decide. Oh, they decided to ban the Quen. So TSM can take Koshka here. If they do give it to Hammers, Koshka and Lance is extremely strong combination, so they need to have an answer to that. So let's see what TSM decides to pick here against Hammers.
And
there we
it's
go.
going to be the Koshka. So not too surprising. Adagio Koshka can be very strong. Obviously have that Gift of Fire delivery system in place. But the Kestrel going to come out once again for starting all over again. Had moments in that first game, but just not enough and not early enough. But it's actually going to be most likely
Ooh.
T-Tigers on the Kestrel as starting all over goes back to Old Faithful, the Ringo.
So interestingly, I mean, we're seeing this Koshka into the Lance. Now it's also into a Kestrel, which can be a bit dicey if those active camos are down in time. Do you think that Hammers has a better composition suited to deal with this Koshka, and that maybe Team SoloMid jumped on this pick a little bit too
Yeah,
easily?
because they have Lance, and Kestrel and Ringo can then burst the Koshka if she tries to jump in. So they have a pretty good composition. It's just they can't lose that early game to Koshka because Vonsi is going to look for invade. So Chicken's going to have to rotate down and help Tigers out because Koshka beats CP Kestrel hard in the early game.
So this final pick from Team SoloMid, they can go with a laner or a captain here. Either would work. I wouldn't mind seeing something like an Arden or a Catherine, actually. We haven't seen a whole lot of Catherine of late. I still think that's a pick that does really, really well, especially into something like a Kestrel. Especially if it's assuming it's going to be a Crystal Kestrel, that you can get so much damage reflected.
They're probably going to Vox here. Oh, Baron.
Wow,
Nice.
okay.
Baron is actually very good. He outranges. He doesn't outrange CP Kestrel, but he does outrange Ringo once he hits level 12 and with 3 points into the ultimate. 7.4 range over Ringo's 6 range, I believe. So this would work really well because Koshka secures Baron's early game and gets him to the late game.
All right, so we saw Baron with Koshka earlier on, and that was, well, that was over very quickly. Maybe Team SoloMid trying to look to do something kind of similar to what Hammers did. Hammers, let's talk about their composition, though. How are they going to play around this Koshka early whilst still being able to deal with the Baron later on into the game?
I think the majority of their focus needs to be on the Baron early on. Just send Kestrel up to the lane early and often. Try and use that massive Glimmer Shot damage at the start of the game to just shut down the Baron as much as possible.
Yeah, they outrange TSM in the early game. They need to put law lane pressure, get early turrets, and then snowball from there. So let's see how TSM is going to respond to that.
All right, guys, I want to hear some predictions about this next game. Can Hammers bring it back and maybe push us to a Game 3?
I love Tigers on Kestrel. He's a god, one of the best Kestrels for sure. So I think Hammers will take this one.
I'm actually going to switch over to Team SoloMid on this one, as I just feel like we saw just how strong this competition can be, and if someone else can mirror what Hammers did, it's going to be this Team SoloMid lineup.
All right, well, an exciting game lined up. We're back onto the Halcyon Fold with Dalcy and Jingying for the game.
Jinyi, I'm super excited for this second game. Really looking forward to see if Hammers can bring it back into the mix.
I think they can. I definitely am rooting. I really want this to go to a 3-game series.
Biased
There's
caster rooting.
Oh, we're not allowed to do that, are we? Oh, okay. I'll just pretend I never said that. But this is just so much potential. So we've got this Baron and Koshka combination coming from TSM, which was what Hammers played in their game against Gangsters and finished it in 10 minutes. I don't know if we're going to be seeing a 10-minute tension bow Baron for this game or not. And on the other side, starting all over on that Ringo. I remember there was a period of time where everybody was like, starting all over, he's a one-trick Ringo pony. And this is definitely a hero that he's very comfortable with. So it's going to be a really strong matchup. I can't wait to see Vonsi on this Koshka again.
Yeah, and you know what? T-Tigers on his CP Kestrel, he's definitely one to look out for as well. And I'm super excited to see him try and pull up the tricks. You know, I talked to Hammers, and I talked to them specifically about how do you counter Vonsi's Koshka, and he said, maybe we'll pick Kestrel. You know, maybe that's something we do. And I was like, okay, very interesting, because you wouldn't expect that to be a counter into this matchup. But we'll have to see if it works out. Impale onto Best Chuck. T-Tiger's making his way into lane. He'll just lay down the hurt onto Flash X and Best Chuck with some Glimmer Shots. And he is able to do so.
What I want to be seeing from this game, especially this Crystal Kestrel, is just Hammers just relentlessly pushing in the lane, because Crystal Kestrel with her Glimmer Shots can do a lot of the damage to the turret, and especially with that Baron there in the early game, his wave clear is not as strong. Especially if we've got all 3 members of Hammers there, it's going to be very difficult for them to defend against that push. The only issue here is that Koshka. So you said that they said that Crystal Kestrel is going to be a counter to the Koshka. I personally don't see that working too well, because Koshka's able to dive onto T-Tigers like this.
Yeah, he's just diving straight on in, and he will go down for first blood. And that is, in an isolated scenario, always going to be the case that Vonsi should be able to take the kill. Now it's going to be this Treant fighting over, starting able to secure it for himself. So not too much lost as far as gold income is concerned, but it is currently TSM pulling ahead with a bit of a gold lead.
Yeah, they definitely have a little bit of a gold lead there. Best Truck NA, he's got his CS a little bit better than starting it over. That is because we are seeing starting all over. Forced to rotate down to the jungle just to help T-Tigers out a little bit. And well, I'm still not. I can see where they're coming from with the Koshka Kestrel counter, because if they know where Koshka is, T-Tigers can set the trap and stun her on the active camel. But that's not a guaranteed stun every single time. And if Vonsy does manage to jump on T-Tigers, he is not able to active camo away, and he is not able to use his skills as efficiently as he would like.
Yeah, no, it requires planning, it requires vision, it requires a lot of coordination coming out of Hammers if they're going to make it work. I am excited though to see it in action, to see whether or not they can bring down Vonsi's Koshka, because if I am not mistaken, he is currently undefeated on this pick. Certainly one of his strongest junglers here in the VG8.
I mean, it suits his playstyle perfectly, this super aggressive, in-your-face. I would just love to see T-Tigers and Vonsy have like a Koshka face-off against each other. I just don't know who would win that. But that'd be really exciting, unlikely to ever happen. It's never going to happen. But it's good to think about it like that. So, Chicken, he's not quite that close to that fountain, about 500 gold off. FlashX has already picked up his fountain, and that leaves Hammers in a bit of a precarious position because they don't really have a heal on their team, whereas TSM, they have the Adagio and they have the fountain, which puts them in a really good position to be fighting.
Does raise some issues that Hammers, they have to get the gold into Chicken before a fight does break out. You do see T-Tigers starting to build towards a Shatterglass first item. Did go down the very gold efficient route of buying a bunch of crystal bits for himself before committing to an item. But here comes Vonsy. Ooh, straight to the active camo. That's what we're talking about. And the kill goes over. Chicken finds it. Best Truck in trouble. He will fall down as well. And now I see what Hammers was saying. It's this, if you know where the Koshka is, you can set up the traps and lay waiting.
And they definitely did that, and look how fast that turret is going down. So Vonsy kind of just jumped right into the active camo, got the stun, and then got the Githian wall there. He just got this wombo combo, and it was just so easy for them to focus him down, because Koshka, her strength comes from her ability to dive in and out, and if you stop her from diving out, then that's going to be a dead Koshka, and we saw exactly that, Best Truck NA on that Baron as well. He doesn't really have the easiest time escaping. He does have the jump jets, but looking at the composition from Hammers, it's easy for them to pick on Baron if Koshka's not there.
It absolutely is, you know, especially in this early game, you're going to have to see Hammers abusing the power that can come out of a Kestrel early and try and knock down Best Truck. You do not want this Baron running away with things like we saw in the first game of Hammers versus Gangstars. We are going to see Sorrowblade completed as well as Shatterglass. FlashX rooted, and Chicken going to take a bit of poke in return, but it is just poke damage right now. A bit of friendly banter between the two teams, and the gold lead actually swings hugely with that turret. 1.7 gold in favor of Hammers.
It was
1.7 thousand gold, in fact. You know, 1.7 is not as much.
It's true. I think people understood what we were saying when you said 1.7. But for now, just looks like Hammers are just biding their time. TSM looking like they want to apply some pressure. I think if you look at it, Vonsi's just waiting for that opportunity to land that Yummy Catnip Frenzy onto T-Tigers, but they need that vision coming out from FlashX to ensure that he's not going to be diving into an active camo like he did in the last game. And I can certainly expect that T-Tigers is going to be setting a lot of these traps around the areas of fighting, so this doesn't happen.
Yeah, you can see so many scout traps already prioritized. Chicken, he has 4 flares in his inventory, just so he can throw them out, try and spot the aggression that might come out of TSM. But you know, something we haven't really talked about yet, Shinyi, in this matchup is the fact that Best Truck is playing on this Baron. That is a ticking time bomb that is going to hit and explode eventually later on into this game.
It's going to be a terrifying moment. The only other Baron that we saw today was 10 minutes, so we never really saw the full potential of the Baron today. And for this one, I feel like Best Truck NA maybe will be going to that 15-minute mark, providing Hammers do not shut TSM down like they did in their matches against Gangstars. I certainly feel that TSM, they have this mindset that they can just sit and wait patiently just for their moment and for their power spikes. We do have an infusion in Best Truck NA's inventory ready for if that moment arises. I feel like it's going to be pretty soon once FlashX goes to the shop.
Yeah, no, it's going to be Crucible completed there from Chickens to try and block up the Yummy Captive Frenzy. All the Burst of Judgment Or even an Atlas if he's feeling a bit plucky from himself. Of course, we don't see any Atlases yet, but that is an item that will be hitting the inventories of Von C and FlashX eventually here. But it's kind of a bit conflicting game styles, I feel, Hammers versus TSM as Von C dives on and gets knocked away. Hammers love this fast-paced, action-packed, just run them down the hill gameplay where they just try and stomp their opponents, whereas TSM, a little bit more calm and collected. They're very content waiting for a crack and waiting till they have such a substantial gold lead that they can easily win a game.
Well, TSM, they're still able to get their farm. Yes, they are falling a little bit behind compared to the members of Hammers, but they're still definitely ensuring that all the gold is going towards their members. So as long as they can make it to the late game, we've said this several times already, then it puts TSM in a very good chance. TSM, especially with FlashX there, he's got a great mindset on how these games should be playing out. He knows exactly how these drafts should be working. So we are seeing a little bit of a step back in terms of tempo coming from TSM.
Lovely little gold mine there from
Exactly.
Hammers. Just TSM, they rotated back into their jungle. You know, Von C did his fronts, then went back to his backs. And Hammers, they have enough vision. They have these flares continuously going up that they can kind of just steal these away. That pushes their gold lead to 2,000. And almost, yeah, just 2,000.
It's just 2,000, not 2.
Just
this
2,000.
time. Just 2,000. It's only 2,000. It's at 9 minutes, and for some reason this game feels a lot longer than it actually is. Oh, FlashX taking a lot of damage there.
Won't be too consequential just yet. But you're right, this game does feel like it's gone a little bit longer, but that's just because, you know, it was at this point that Hammers were knocking on the base of Gangstar's Sirius earlier on. So it is just the slowing down that we are experiencing right now, Shinyi, where the team's starting to play at a bit of a different tempo.
I like that they're able to adapt to this. Right now, I think what we are waiting for is that T-Tigers as that Crystal Castro. So he does have that Void Battery, but the thing about Crystal Castro is that she does run out of energy very quickly because she is relying so much on her skills. The active cannons, setting those traps, they use up a lot of energy, and if they're not successful, if you can wait for your moment, wait for T-Tigers to be fall low on energy, that's actually a really good time for them to engage onto T-Tigers. And something else about Crystal Castro is, in the late game, I feel like Crystal Castro's not really a consideration. It's all about taking out the Ringo at that stage. But for now, if they can take out T-Tigers and then focus on starting all over, I think that'll be a good opening for them.
We'll have to see how they decide to play the fight. TSM aren't too keen on going all aggressive, but there's an Impale straight onto FlashX as he gets knocked forward. Iron Cannon gonna crash onto the Halcyon Fold, but Hammer's just about able to escape that orbital missile. And Hammer's just going to fall back once more. You know, they're waiting for this gold miner to stack back up again so that they can get those gold pounds. Oh, Von C over the wall. Chicken tries to set up a bit of a predictive Impale, but Von C very patient to try and dodge away from that one. The gold lead is steadily growing, though, in Hammer's favor. Up to 3,000 now as they try and put starting ahead. Got that breaking point, got an infusion ticking as well. Best Chuck still with one in his inventory, and Tigers just pushes immediately up. A lot of damage laid down to Best Chuck as the one shot flies forward, but it will not find its mark. It's going to be this turret in trouble as Chicken lands the Impale, but here comes Von C, and Chicken very, very low. May even force this Hammer's velocity rise to go back. No! Here comes Hellfire! Hellfire's brewing, but Best Chuck gets the fountain. Unfortunately for FlashX, he will not be meeting as such a fate as he goes down to starting flying forward, looking for Von C, but Hammers, they make the immediate call to try and push down this turret.
Well, they certainly have the ability to do so, so I think in that fight, Von C didn't use his infusion. Actually, never mind. Von C's going on in with the infusion. And
yeah, but he can't find his mark. It's a 2 versus 3 here, Shinyi. And currently, Hammer's just making their way out. Best Chuck's going to step into the camo, but no one there to pop it. Oh, a missed opportunity, unfortunately, for Hammers there. Best Chuck going to thank his lucky stars when he watches the replay back. TSM, they are moving forward into here. They have FlashX to support them. Von C's looking for T-Tigers. Low energy indeed, but he gets stunned on up, impaled on down, and here comes the Sentry looking for the kill. When the one shot onto Best Chuck, and starting's here as well. They're going to get the healing Treant so they can get the energy back. FlashX up against the wall, going to dive forward. Chicken very low. He might even get popped by the burst, but he doesn't. But that's going to be T-Tigers going as he gets locked down by Best Chuck and NA, and this is the start of a good start for TSM as long as they can continue the aggression. Chicken may have stepped too far forward, and he will go down to Best Chuck Von C with Yummy Captain Frenzy not necessary just now. TSM going to look to try and take a gold miner to steady the gold lead.
Whew, I think we're going to see Crystal, it's not Crystal Baron, Weapon Baron begin to come to its own. That was a really nice fight coming up from Von C. Did they just steal? No, they didn't steal it. Von C, so although T-Tigers was actually very full in terms of health, very low in energy, and Von C knew that he couldn't really do much, so that's why he went straight onto T-Tigers and just forcing T-Tigers back. And I feel like that's how they were able to pick up the kills. I think I mentioned this earlier, is about recognizing when T-Tigers is low in energy because he doesn't actually have things like Halcyon Charges. Yes, he does have the Void Bastard there, but if you can just force T-Tigers just to waste the energy on using Glimmer Shots and active camos, then that's when they should be picking those fights.
You know, it's very interesting, this itemization from FlashX. He hasn't built himself a contraption here. Feeling very comfortable that the scout traps that he places and the way TSM want to play this game, that they can avoid out getting caught by T-Tiger's CP Kestrel here. It's definitely a bit of a gambit. Will it pay off for TSM? They're currently biding their time expertly at this moment as they're looking to try and get Best Chuck back into the game. He's almost at his 3 damage item point. Only 100 gold necessary, I think, to complete that Tyrant's Monocle. And there it is, comes forward as well. So 3 damage items for Best Chuck. And starting all over hasn't quite hit his yet. He's itemized very heavily into defense. He's got a full Aegis. He's got some armor as well. Means that he has delayed his damage a lot.
I think it makes sense, because if they rely on T-Tigers for the initial burst damage coming up from the Glimmer Shots, and starting over, it gives him a little bit more time if he can withstand the damage coming up from Koshka, and allow him to build up those breaking point stacks. Actually, looking at the map right now, Hammers have a lot of good vision down in the center of the map, and, well, FlashX is just relying on flares, which he's doing quite well. He's trying to predict where the active camos are, and he's usually actually generally spotting them out. But there have been occasions where we do see members of TSM walking over active camos that just weren't spotted using the flares.
Right, exactly. And unfortunately for Hammers, they haven't been able to find kills based on them. This is the interesting moment though, Shinyi. This game at 15 minutes, 3-3. Only 2,000 gold separates these two teams, but the Kraken, she's just awakened. Hammers, they have taken 2 turrets, and that is a good start for them. But they will want more, and they're going to start up this Kraken, just looking to use Chickens as a human scout ward as he moves across the jungle. He just places that one down, doesn't quite pop one of his own. TSM, with the Crystal Sentry, they put the minion candy on it, and this Kraken is still going down. This will be secured by Hammers, and in fact, TSM seems likely that they knew it was going on, but they didn't want to risk an engagement in territory that Hammers had dictated.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason was also FlashX. He was sitting on a lot of gold, so it was better for him to teleport back, get the ward shreds, and actually with the Baron there, it's very easy for him to build up the breaking point stacks if Hammers are pushing with the Kraken. So he's got this really good zoning ability with his Porcupine Mortars, and hopefully that's what we'll be seeing them try and do with this push. However, I do anticipate that Hammers, they'll be super offensive. We'll be seeing lots of damage coming out, and I want to see an ace being picked up by one of the teams during this Kraken push.
Well, we'll have to find which one of these teams will be finding the aces. The Kraken starts taking down this choke point turret, as well as these Glimmer Shots from T-Tigers. A Hellfire Brew onto Best Chuck will connect as he starts burning, but straight onto the healing platform, and he will be able to heal through that. The Kraken half health as Best Chuck is dodging away from Chicken. There's going to be Fonzie looking for T-Tigers. T-Tigers with a fountain will not sustain the damage, but starting able to take him down as they land the root. That's going to be Best Chuck falling. Starting looking for the ace onto FlashX as he pushes forward. The Kraken's still there, and a triple kill for starting all over on his Ringo. Best Ringo NA, best Ringo world as starting would claim Game 2 to Hammers.
Gonna be a 3-game series. This is super exciting. I think at the very end, did you see starting over max out breaking point stacks at 20 there? And when you have this matchup between a Ringo and you have this matchup between a Baron, the Baron just feels very clunky compared to this Ringo. Ringo's got this mobility, he's dealing an immense amount of DPS, whereas Best Chuck NA on that Baron a little bit more comfortable sitting back and poking that way, but they weren't really giving them the opportunity. I feel that TSM maybe were a little bit too cautious this game. There were moments when I feel like they could have engaged in the fights, but it doesn't matter. We're still going to be seeing a 3rd game anyway for this series.
pretty incredible stuff. And Hammers, they knew that that Baron was ticking away at them, but they bided the time so well. One team fight, all was necessary to push them to this Game 3, the first Game 3 series, 3-game series in fact, that we've seen here between TSM and Hammers. I'm so excited to witness where this one goes. You know, both these teams fighting for top points this week. TSM and Hammers, they have locked in their position at the Unified Live Finals Championships, in fact, in London in May. But now they're fighting for positioning. The top 2 teams do get a bye in day 1 of the Live Championships, so it's very important to be securing those points, and that's what these guys are currently fighting over. Guys on the desk, this is a very exciting series. What are you guys expecting for Game 3?
Oh man, I'm expecting fireworks. Guys, what a game.
Looks like Ringo's back on the menu, boys. What a performance from starting all over. That is, I mean, that's why people were banning this against him.
I mean, it absolutely was, and we were talking about it earlier. We were like, okay, he's not really prioritizing it. He's not picking it when it's available. He said that he would before. What's going on? Is it, you know, maybe not that strong in the current meta? Turns out it's just fine. Let's actually have a look at that last fight as a replay.
Yeah, here you can see Hammers is pushing with the Kraken here, and then Flash makes an aggressive play with his Dodger ultimate. The Koshka Stun does not land. They get a kill on T-Tigers. Vonsi survives barely, actually dies. The Fawn doesn't come on time, and then Starting just goes crazy and is able to delete Baron before Baron can kill him. And that was a critical point in the fight there that helped him win this game.
And it was so important because they both had the same builds, the Ringo and the Baron. Their builds were just about identical, at least in terms of offensive items. And so the fact that he was able to have more damage than the Baron is just really impressive.
Yeah, and a key turn on that game was actually at the 4:55-minute mark when Vonsi dives into the lane bush, gets stunned by Tiger's active camo, then Baron comes in too. They both die and give up a turret, and you have an early game comp like Koshka and you lose the first turret to a Kesho, Ringo, Lance comp. That's going to be really tough, and it just kind of snowballs from there. And this is the fight right here. There was critical mistake from Vonsi going into deep, not flaring that bush, making sure there's no active camo there. And this is why I betted on T-Tire CP Kesho, because he made that play. Because of that play, they were able to get an early lead against a Koshka.
Also, the shot calling for the side of Hammers. I mean, when they went for the Kraken, you had Chicken way in the Team SoloMid jungle, like back behind their sentry, just running interference. You don't assume that the 2 carries are taking down Kraken when you have the captain that far in your jungle, and that's exactly what they were doing. They betted on the fact that Team SoloMid would not think it was happening.
It's really hard to read that, to be honest. Especially, it's so risky to read wrong, right? Like, if you even think to yourself, well, maybe there's a chance, and then you go in and you're fighting in the jungle against a Lance, you're asking for trouble. So, yeah, very strong play from Hammers. Moving forward into the next game, into Game 3. The first Game 3, as Dalsy said, that we've seen between these 2 teams. We've got a great draft coming up. It's a very critical one for the matchup. Team SoloMid on A side now.
Yeah, the teams are 3 games apiece in their head-to-head this season. So we'll see this final one, perhaps. You know, they could also meet up in the next 2 weeks, but one of these 2 teams is going to come out of this week with a lead.
Let's see if TSM decides to take the Lance here or take the Koshka or even take Adagio. So there's a lot. So they decided to take Adagio here, actually, and then give Hammers the option of taking Lance or Koshka. But I do expect TSM to ban Koshka on the second draft round here.
Yeah, Hammer should take the Lance. It's just such a strong pick for Chicken. Played incredibly well with it in game number 2. I would be very surprised if they don't go for it.
Well, they're going to be using some bonus time, though. Hammers, I'm sure, very eagerly wanting to win this series and take a second win. Weak win, that is to say, under their belts.
Put them just 8 points behind Team SoloMid for first in North America. It is going to be the Lance. They ban away the Gwen, not wanting to let Best Chuck have that. So now we're expecting the Koshka ban from TSM.
Yep. Makes sense. Lance, what goes well with this into the Adagio, Sweetjo?
He probably will pick Samuel here because that's something that Tigers is very strong on, or even potentially CP Kestro. So it's really Tiger's preference here. Does he want a CP Kestrel or does he want a Samuel? So I think he might lean towards the CP Kestrel. I know he's really good in Samuel, but his CP Kestrel is solid. Yep.
I also think the Kestrel is also a flex pick for them. You don't necessarily want to grab the Samuel because you give Team SoloMid 2 opportunities to counter it. Whereas with the Kestrel, they don't know necessarily if this is going to be a Crystal Kestrel in the jungle or if it will be Weapon Kestrel on starting.
Yeah, TSM here can pick Taka into this. This is very dangerous. Taka is really, really good against Kestrel if played properly. So they could potentially pick a Taka along with a Ringo, for example, that has the range to lock down the Kestrel and slow her. Even with the Hellfire Brew, it works very well. So TSM could do, or they could even try Flicker, but Flicker into a Lance with a Kestrel Trap is a little trickier to play into. So they could also try that. Or if they're brave, they can do Grumpjaw. They can eat the Lance and then just dive both the carries if they want to try that composition as well. However, Hammers can pick a Weapon Kestrel and a Sky to counter that Grumpjaw with Lance being a front line. So they actually decided to go for a Sky, which actually worked really well for them against Kestrel. However, Sky into Lance is a skill matchup, and Lance is pretty good into Sky. So Chicken is going to really have to make some plays here to lock down Vonsi.
And Chicken really did make a lot of plays in that second game. Look at this. Team SoloMid saying, you're not getting your Ringo this time round. Starting all over, going to have to look elsewhere for his pick. Maybe he goes for the Kestrel like Bacon was saying, but they do have a lot of options for this final lock-in.
Yeah, I think they might pick Samuel here or Vox, but Vox is outranged by Ringo and Sky. So yep, they're going to go with the Samuel for sure here.
So another skill matchup we saw in game 1, the Sky versus Samuel. It was Vonsi that was able to win that decisively. See if T-Tigers can have better luck this time around.
All right, so what are our expectations for maybe how Hammers needs to play the early game of this match differently than what they did in game number 1? Because these compositions are kind of similar. The objectives of the teams and the things that we need to focus on, like the Samuel versus the Sky, very similar. So what do they need to do differently? Because they lost last time this happened.
Hammers needs to do a better job protecting their lane because TSM has so much lane pressure with Adagio. They're outranged. You know, Hammers outranged, so they're going to do the same thing. Heal up, poke, poke, poke. Ringo outpokes, Sky outpokes, especially in the early phase until Samuel starts getting Frostburn. So it's really going to be, again, a skill match between Sky and Samuel.
Yeah, and it's really just going to come down to the early game. It's whoever can get that initial edge and start getting better on their path towards itemization. The 3-item power spike for both of these junglers is immense, and that's where they really look to take over games.
Do you think we should see some of that gold siphoning coming out of the junglers maybe, like we did in game number 1, Sweet J?
Yeah, if Hammers is smart, they should let Tigers carry because Tigers is going to be the one carrying. He's the only one that outranges the entire team once he's on his Mass and Verdict inside his Drifting Dart. So they should do the same thing that Vonsi did with TSM, is to feed him, hyper-feed him, and get him his 3 items fast.
All right, guys, who do you think is going to take home the finals of week number 1 of split number 2?
This is such a tough call. TSM.
I love Tigers. He is probably one of the best junglers right now with Vonsi, so I think Tigers can take it home for his team.
All right, let's find out which one of these teams is going to win the week. Passing it on over to Dalsy and Jingyi.
This is a very tough matchup now for Hammers. They're on a very, very similar composition to game 1 of this series, and TSM took it very, very decisively. A bit of action in the lane here, Jingyi, as Chicken tries to find some impales onto Best Chuck. Doesn't quite go his way. But yeah, a lot of pressure on T-Tigers especially to try and carry Hammers through to victory.
Yeah, it was a very smart draft coming out from TSM. That is kind of what you expect, though they're very good at that drafting phase, very cerebral with how they decide to play it out. Best Chuck and 8 managed to deny starting all over from the Ringo. Hang on, Vonsi, what are you going to do?
This is a repeat, but this time Hammers are ready. No, they're not. That's going to be Chickens falling, but they trade captains. Vonsi dives forward looking for T-Tigers, but that's a double for T-Tigers as Starting lays down the deeps onto Best Chuck. I thought this was just going to be a deja vu, a flashback to game 1 of this series here, Jingyi, but this time Hammers were a little bit more ready.
Oh yes, they were the ones that picked up the 2 kills there. Vonsi there at the very end, did you see the series strike where he just kind of went on to the complete other end of starting all over, and T-Tigers was a very risky play. You could see what he was doing. It was, you know, it was risky. That is what kind of what you expect from Vonsi, but I think at the stage of the game, there's so much poke coming up from starting all over and T-Tigers that Air of Effect was really effective at zoning TSM out. And I just feel like that they didn't quite respect that early enough.
No, certainly it's very, very reminiscent of game 1 and actually worked out for Vonsi in game 1, but this time This time, unfortunately, the no fear mantra does end up meaning he loses out a little bit. T-Tiger's going to come into lane, push it on up here with starting, make sure that they're putting as much pressure onto TSM. Forcing the rotations, they're going to run straight into, but Chicken misses the impale. Bonsi trying to lay down the forward barrage as Best Chuck gets into position. Everyone on Hammer's taking huge chunks of damage, and TSM are able to regroup. Bonsi going on to starting. Where's the series strike? Starting has to split, and he will fall, and all this time Chicken is going to go down as well. The rotational play from TSM, too good, and that's going to be another 2 kills TSM's way.
Yeah, absolute bloodbath there in the first 3 minutes of the game, because we saw Flash X, he was going down the channel. I feel like he was very, very caught out at this point, but they managed to turn it around because there was the flank from Best Chuck NA, and it left starting all over very exposed. Best Chuck NA just did a lot of damage, picked up the 2 kills there onto starting all over and onto Chicken. Very nice flank, and it doesn't look like Vonsi is able to pick up the jungle away from Hammers at this stage, but it's certainly looking good for both of these teams.
Yeah, look at the gold lead that's already been accumulated here by TSM. Practically 1,000. And in the lane, a bit of a CS lead as well for Best Chuck NA. It was at 10, but starting all over will equalize it. It's more like a bit of a 4 CS lead, I think, for Best Chuck NA after this lane has gone forth as a huge wave was stacked up towards the turret of TSM. But this is dangerous stuff now for Hammers. They're going to camp the shop waiting for items, but really they were hoping that the Elder Treant would be around so that they could drop in for tea. Just wasn't to be for them.
These fights are so exciting. So TSM, they're number 1 on the leaderboard, if I'm correct. They're sitting at something like 34 points. The Hammers are close, well, not even close second. They're sitting at second with at 24, so there's a 10-point difference here between the 2 teams. But Hammers, with the improvement we're seeing from them week to week, I think for the next few weeks, I'm expecting Hammers to be just narrowing the gap between the 2 teams. I have no idea who's going to win. This game is incredibly close. The team fights have definitely been very back and forth. And, okay, Vonsi.
Okay, Vonsi, that's really all you can say. T-Tigers eats him on up for dinner. And it's going to be the rest of Hammers rotating into the lane to try and catch up Best Chuck as well. They go straight onto Flash X. Good Gippians. War Flash X in trouble, but he just about escapes using the fountain and a self-heal to keep himself above water. Hammers not quite able to find the secondary kill.
Not quite there, and almost there onto Flash X. I have to say, I'm really impressed with Chicken. I think his glaive play is absolutely outstanding, and his lance as well. His Githian walls, every single time he's consistently landing those Githian walls and those impales. It's not the easiest job to do, but it's helping his team so much with picking up the kills. Hammer's been quite aggressive right now. I think they're looking to catch Vonsi out. I don't know if he'll be making that mistake again, though. Doesn't look like it this time around.
So for those who haven't looked at the standings, before this week began, TSM had an entire 10-point lead over Hammers.
Oh, Vonsi!
Vonsi just dodges out of the impale. Great timing, but the Oblivion may catch him. No. Here comes Tigers. Here comes the rest of TSM. They're looking to sandwich. Best Chuck has to run. And it's going to be Hammers looking to find Flash X, and they will. But the fountain comes out. They haven't found the kill just yet. Hammers in a bit of a pickle, but Best Chuck and A gets taken so low. How are TSM juggling the arrow? How are TSM still alive? The aggro from Hammers just not finding a kill. Hammers will be walking away from this wondering how they didn't take anyone down, but maybe, yeah, finally they do catch Flash X. This should be a turret now, going very, very low. T-Tigers died for too long, and the fountain wasn't available. They may just find the turret here, but they're going to have to run from on C. The minions doing work, Death from above to chase them on down, starting in trouble, and Easy is going to fall. The minions do not find the turret in the end, and a huge misplay comes out of Hammers.
This game is just so ridiculously thirsty. Every single game, because the death retimers are so short as well that Vonsi, he gets rooted, and Githian walled away. I feel like I need to take
Death timers are so short, as you're saying, Shinye.
Yeah, the death timers are so short.
Continuously looking for fights here, despite the fact that there's a gold deficit.
I wouldn't say it's a major. Okay, so it's only 7 minutes right now, and it's about 1.3k gold, which is okay. It feels, again, it's one of these games where it feels like it's gone a lot longer, and I think that's just because of the amount of fights that we've been seeing going down and the amount of deaths as well. But It's a small gold lead going towards TSM right now. I just feel like in terms of sharing the gold out, they're a little bit better. Best Chuck NA is just farming just a little bit ahead. Oh, Flash X gets
Oh,
stuck.
they've caught Best Chuck in a route once more. The Givian's whale. Wow, Gifian's will knock him back. This game has just got my tongue twisted. Chicken goes extremely low. Here comes the Hellfire Brew. Will land on top of him, holding onto his fountain. This is going to go very close, but he will not burn away. Oh, he's gonna... Wow, that is close stuff from Chicken 123.
He's not
just
going.
about bides his time. Yeah, no, he's not going. He has Life Spring, so he can heal back up. And Impale lands onto Von C. He has the fountain, and he goes down. That's going to be starting finding the kill. TSM did not expect this from Hammers, just considering how low Chicken was. And you know, last game, it was a 15-minute mark and a 3 for 3. Now, at this 8-minute mark, 5 for 5, and a turret in favor of Hammers.
I think Chicken is one of my new favorite roamers. He's just incredible with the Githian walls, with impales, that
Looking
move.
for a steal here.
Oh no!
Flash X coming in. He's looking for
Chicken.
Hammers. This is going to be Best Chuck
Aw.
going in, finding the kill, but can he find more? T-Tigers, that's a double, and the gold mine. Best Chuck, incredible play from him. He's not done yet. Looking for starting all over as they're going to dive the Crystal Sentry. Can he get a triple kill for himself?
No.
Will be too late. He's just about getting away. Good reflex block, but starting will go
Oh.
down. A triple and an ace for Best Chuck and the gold mine still. Oh my goodness, Shinyi, this game is bloodthirsty.
This has been one of my favorite nights to cast. Just every single game so far has been absolutely incredible. Actually, it looks like Hammers, I don't think they're going to defend this turret in time. Could be a turret for TSM here.
It will be a tough for TSM, but Bonzi loses his life, and actually Best Chuck gonna lose his... What?
Are you okay?
Wow. Okay. That is incredible. Okay, like, I'm spamming the OK ping 40 times right now, Shinyi. A triple comes
I always-
out for T-Tigers, and Hammers
I
are
always
gonna
knew
find a
you were toxic.
return turret. Oh my goodness, this is something else. Hammers and TSM, I just want to shut up and watch in awe.
You can't do that. You can't. You know you can't do that. But every single moment of this fight, and I think this goes back to the death timers are so short that we're actually seeing members come back out, rejoin the same fight that's going on. And as a result, we're seeing these back and forth fights where TSM's gonna get a turret, but they get aced. And then Hammers, they get a turret, but then they get aced. It's incredibly even. 100, 200 gold between the two teams. 8 for 8. CS is close. And we do see Hammers with a turret advantage right now. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I feel like
They've
I
got
just
a
want to
turret
watch as well.
advantage. 10 minutes in, the gold is neck and neck. There is no lead there. Let's look at items, because we haven't had the chance to, Shinyi, and we might not still get the chance to. Broken Myth completed for Von C. He has a Frostburn as well. The Sorrow Blade breaking point there for Best Chuck is matched up by a similar, and now we're getting another fight as it looks like Hammers want to go in, but there's a good death from above, going to split the fight. A good Oblivion. Flash X gets stunned up. He gets taken on down, and it looks like Hammers might be able to walk away with this one, but the Gold Miner on the back of T-Tigers is doing work, and Best Chuck senses it. He goes in. Best Chuck doesn't lose his life. Starting all over, stuck between two, but no one's gone down. That's the Gifian's wall. No, the Hellfire Brew. Chicken not quite able to save the life. They steal the tree and away as well. Holy moly, Shinyi. That a 2 for 1 in favor of Hammers.
I'm not sure if it's the 3 liters of coffee or if it's the game, but I think
It's
I've
the
got
game.
really bad palpitations right now. I don't know if this is healthy for me or not, but this game is absolutely incredible. What a game to finish this day. We'll finish the series between the finals. Like, TSM, they're really being pushed to the limit here. Hammers as well. And Chicken, I don't know if this is a 1v1 you're wanting to look for. I know Flash X is the roamer, but we have no idea where the other members of TSM are.
This is the game that Hammers want to play. TSM love playing clean, calculated games. Hammers love throwing themselves, like literally belly flopping themselves at their opponents and seeing what the outcome is. We're going to see another fight in lane as Starting gets locked on up. He's going very low, but the good active camera locks everyone down, and he's going to heal up with a fountain. Oblivion puts Fonzie to sleep, and that's going to be the kills going the way of Hammers as they find a clean ace for themselves. I don't even know what's happening anymore, Shinyi. I don't think you know what's happening right now, but what I do know is Hammers are going to push this choke point.
Every single time that Okay, in that fight, in that particular fight, okay, so I think what happened was Vonsi, he got caught by the Oblivion. They got caught by the Oblivion. FlashX does not have that crucible, they are not able to block it. And Vonsi was just asleep for a few seconds. It was very easy for T-Tigers to focus on them. And that was how they got the ace, just incredibly. All the carries on both the teams, just incredible amounts of damage. The DPS coming out from them is incredible. There's not that much defense on the carries. T-Tigers, he has nothing. He has just pure offensive items and some boots. And it's the same for Von C as well. It's just incredibly bloodthirsty, incredibly close. I would not be surprised if TSM got the next ace and pushed Hammers back to their choke point turrets.
Yeah, as far as this game's narrative is concerned, that could be the case here. We've got a 3,000 gold lead. We've got Hammers looking to start up a gold mine. Last time this happened, it was an ace and a steal, but I believe this time we should just see it going over to Hammers. TSM have slowed down. They want to try and regain some form of control, but we are at a point where at 13 minutes we almost have 26 kills, or at least 22 kills, almost 10 kills more than the minute count is concerned. 1.5 a minute. Holy moly, Shinyi. Like, where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? First off, Vonsi does need that reflex block. He is getting caught by the Oblivion. I actually think we need to say the same for T-Tigers. He needs that reflex block as well. But right now they are being caught out. Hammers, they've just got an incredible amount of poke coming out of them with the Drifting Dark Mass and Verdicts. And you've also got the Glimmer Shots. And Chicken, he's got such good peel. And that's where, looking at the Adagio as the roam, it doesn't really compare to Chicken in terms of the utility that he's offering. Yes, you've got the heal and the buff. But Chicken, he's landing those Githian walls, he's stunning down the members of TSM, and that is just putting TSM at an advantage in a lot of the team fights.
Yeah, no, I can see that as well. Hammers, they take down that Crystal Sentry there, looking to push their lead even further as TSM reach for some gold. Hammers saying no. Chicken gonna charge forward, looking to try and lock down Von C, but he misses the Impale. FlashX channels the first. It does get blocked up with a Crucible, but FlashX with the Fountain trying to sustain, and he gets taken down over the wall by T-Tigers. That's a crucial member down as Best Truck channels the Hellfire Brew, but starting steps forward, and he just snipes him away. It's only Von C left, and this is the minion wave pushing in. One shot, one kill, finds the ace for starting all over, and they're inside the base. They've got super minions here at this 14-minute mark. This is Hammers looking to finish the game, and FlashX is not up for another 6 seconds. They're going to split the aggro, the turrets fall, and Hammers will take this game over TSM to win week 1 of Split 2.
An incredible performance coming out from Hammers there. Every single team fight was just really well executed by both of the teams. It was incredibly scrappy, and it was so polished as well at the same time, if that makes sense. It's a bit of a contradiction. At the end though, Best Truck NA got caught a little bit by channeling the Hellfire Brew. I don't know if he managed to stay alive, that would have changed much. I have a feeling it wouldn't have. Hammers were incredibly dominant the whole, it's particularly in the last few minutes of the game, and I think that comes down to the lack of defense on Von C. He was getting caught out, not only by the Impale and the Githian wall, but also by the Oblivion coming out from Samuel. And just a little bit of defense does go a long way in these team fights.
Incredible stuff from both these teams, but